kind of changes tactics after they scored in the 55th minute. They sat back more. I mean, do you blame? It's Thomas Tuchel the one to take full blame for England's collapse?
Not full blame, but yeah, it's a big reason why England capitulated towards the end. But the reason why my eyebrow raised in that press conference is because they beat Norway, and it was one of those games where they had to grind. And he came out and he criticized them as a team. Yet this match was far less convincing and a worse performance. And yet he's saying he's proud. So just the juxtaposition of the team winning and him criticizing to them losing, playing terribly because of his decisions towards the end of the game, and him saying, oh, you know, that's just how the match goes.
I think a lot of those are for the camera, though.
Yeah,
I mean, one of the favorite things for coaches is when you win, but you're able to criticize to some degree. You can win and get better, and I think that was his mentality after the Norway game. This game, it's over. I know there's a third-place game, but it's over, and I think that he's, you know, I completely agree with you. It's BS is what it is.
Yes.
But now he's saying, oh, yeah, the performance was great. You know, coaching decisions.
Do you think he meant it, or I mean,
no, Claudia, what is he supposed to say?
Exactly.
He's got to try to you know, look towards the future because it's over now. So what good would it be for him to say, this guy was terrible, this guy was terrible, you know, because you need to make sure that the relationship stays strong, that the team's going to still back you and believe you, because that's the worst thing that he can do is come out and blame everyone else but himself.
But he did in the interview. I think he opened the interview with, the coach always takes the responsibility.
Yes.
I think this is follow-up questions that we're hearing, but when you hear you're happy with the result and it goes this way, I think that's what gets under, you know, some people's skin a little bit. But he did take the blame.
Yeah. If you're...
I was going to say, it's the defensive changes he made clearly signaled to the team, we are going to defend. We are not trying to score another goal. We're not trying to end this game. By the way, like I said, the two center backs have yellow cards. You have a Messi who's not going to run defensively. You had outside backs who, for me, were not impressive at all. And if you inserted a Bukayo Saka, who I don't even know if he was healthy enough to play, because for him to not show up being the best winger that they have, his Achilles issue must be very, very strong. But sub Marcus Rashford on in the 90th minute, there was no intent to play forward. Yeah. So if you're telling Argentina, you're telling your own players, we're just going to defend to close this game out and allow Messi to be closer to the goal with the ball at his feet, what do you think was going to happen? But
Charlie, isn't this what they did versus Mexico?
They were forced to doing that, Claudia. They were down with 10 men. There was a red card. So inevitably, you have to play that. And then there's a self-belief. There's a commitment to, guys, we're down a man. Let's use that momentum to come together and grind it out. And by the way, it's Mexico. There's no Messi on Mexico. There's not even a Lautaro Martinez or a Julian Alvarez on Mexico. There are levels to it. So anybody can do that.
And to me, Claudia, I think it's twofold, right? I think it starts with Tuchel for sure. And there's a viral clip of another coach, Cesc Fabregas, that I've seen him talk about this. And that's when you're winning a game and you're protecting a lead and a coach makes a decision, right? A coach isn't as influential as other sports. You can basically make a sub. You have a couple of words that you can't tell everybody what to do. You make a sub, put a defender in for a midfielder or an attacker, you're telling the guys non-verbally, we're gonna sit back and defend. And that means you're gonna sit back deeper, you're gonna protect the goal, you're not gonna go as much forward. And conversely, you tell the other team that we're gonna do that, which means that they're allowed to be more aggressive and more imposing, and they don't have to necessarily defend their goal. I think Thomas Tuchel went way too early in that direction, right? It was right after the water break when there was about 25, 30 minutes left in the game where he went to 5 in the back. Eventually, he subbed on a defender as the left midfielder as well, and O'Reilly, which made it even further back. So, again, Mexico, down a man, it's one aspect of a game against players that aren't at the caliber of Argentina. You're going up against an Argentina with the best player in the world and several other top players around him. It's much more difficult. Beyond that scope, I also think that the English players didn't perform in their capacity in those moments. There were plenty of moments against Mexico that we talked about where the ball went wide and they were able to close down space very quickly so that service couldn't come in easily. This game, there was space everywhere. Messi was getting the ball. 2 guys were dragging to him. Enzo Fernandez gets the ball 25 yards from goal with a line of 10 in front of him, in front of Pickford, where he can't see the shot. There was a shot from him. There was a shot from McAllister. There were crosses from DePaul, from Messi, post. It was inevitable because, one, they went too early against a very top team. Didn't create anything on the counter. They didn't prove that they could go forward, which only gave more confidence to the Argentinian team. And on top of that, they didn't defend very well either in those moments, in those spaces.
Now, after the match, Tony, Troy yesterday said that England players were scared of the moment, and Nigel said that they were missing bravery. Is that how you felt watching them?
Yeah, I was here. We were all watching it in the building. But I think it's a reflection of what Thomas Tuchel gave them.
I
right?
agree.
He put them in this low block. Now, the difference in Mexico, Charlie mentioned it, the quality, right? They were okay with giving Mexico shots from distance and crosses, right, in the box. That's how they got burnt yesterday, right? That's how against Mexico, they blocked everything from distance and they cleared every single cross. This time they didn't have a right-footed Messi. That time they didn't have a right-footed Messi putting a cross in. But I think that's the messaging that they got. And that Cesc Fabregas video that's been going on for a year and a half now, I think is really telling for players.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, Harry Kane basically alluded to it yesterday in his interview after the game.
Gahey as well.
Gahey, I didn't see the Gahey, but similar to like, well, I don't really have,
he said once we went up 1-0, we seemed to just try and hold on, which at this level is just not enough, so I'm gutted. He also said we should have carried on pushing. It kind of felt like we scored and then the mentality was go back, defend.
What they did, you normally see in the last 10 minutes of games.
Yeah.
Right? Teams
Maximum,
can survive
right?
10
Maximum.
minutes, but I think we had the number between the 1-0 goal, the Gordon goal, to the equalizer, they had 12% possession. And you guys know I hate that possession stat because oftentimes, but 12% is 12%, right? It's like you didn't have the ball, basically, right? So it's really hard to live. You do training sessions all the time. Every team in the world does training sessions like 6-on-4, 8-on-6, and you're getting pounded all the time. That's what that looked like yesterday. Yeah. They were just getting pounded the entire, what was it, 30 minutes.
McAllister should have had 2.
Yeah. And look, Claudia, to go back to the question, right?
The header off the post?
Yeah, the header off the post and the shot that eventually.
Pretty clear header, too.
It should have been a goal.
Yeah.
But your question about the bravery, I actually don't put it on the players at all. They were not given the opportunity to be brave, right? They were told, just sit back and defend. Sure, you can defend bravely, I guess, and put your body on the line. I mean, Bellingham was a centimeter away from blocking Enzo Fernandez's shot.
Even with Jude Bellingham, the bravery part, there was that play where Jude got on the ball and ran down the left flank. There was no one.
There was no one there.
He was surrounded by 3 Argentine players.
And that's the point where I think the coach, right, Thomas Tuchel, didn't give that opportunity. I think it was the 72nd minute right after the water break that they made the initial 5 in the back. Fine, you want to go to 5 in the back, but you cannot set up your team to not have any counterattacking movements and plays with 30 minutes left in the game. And that's the way that Thomas Tuchel set up his team. And so bravery, to me, the coach didn't have the bravery. The players were not afforded the opportunity to be brave because they were told we're going to defend for 30 minutes and hope we win 1-0.
We have a comment here on YouTube saying going to a low block could have worked if there was a threat on the counter. They would have needed to pull off Harry Kane and put on a pacey forward like Marcus Rashford or Ollie Watkins.
But they had 12% possession. I don't know why I can't say it, but
it's hard to say. It's hard to think about.
Yeah, it's hard to think about. They couldn't keep the ball. I mean, what did you tell me? They had 2 completed passes.
2 completed passes
in that period.
Doesn't
matter what system you play if you can't keep the ball.
In the that entire period, 2 passes completed. How can you do anything? And to go back to our experiences in 2009 playing against Brazil, there were times where I remember if I did even receive the ball, I had no one to play with. It was, good luck. I remember there was a throw-in. I'll never forget. There was a throw-in to me later in the second half, and I received it. I turned. Everyone was in our own half, and it was me versus 4 Brazilian defenders. I said, all right, well,
what'd you do?
Here I go. I tried to go by Gilberto Silva and Lucio and Luis Zhao, who has 8'6", reached out and toe poked it at the end. But no, you feel like you're an island. Mm-hmm. Every single English player who received the ball felt like they're on an island because there was no help, there was no outlet, and that's the game that you play as a manager. You say, if this is what we're going to do, then anyone who gets the ball, you know you have no options. You have to figure out, do I have to dribble 3 or 4 players on my own to create that space and get into the attacking half? And by the way, you're exhausted.
Yeah.
So, Benny, before yesterday's game, England had been undefeated in the 14 games under Thomas Tuchel. Now you factor in what happened with yesterday's game, and obviously we're talking about the tactics. Mark Gahey himself even spoke after the match saying he wasn't too happy about it. Do you think Thomas Tuchel has now lost the locker room after what we saw yesterday?
I don't know if he lost the locker room after what you saw yesterday. I think there was already some friction there prior. We saw it after the Norway game. I think the way, if you read between the lines, right, the way that players talk about some of the decisions that the manager has made, it feels like there's something, not perfect there.
Something brewing there?
Yeah, I just don't think, look, Thomas Tuchel is not a well-liked manager. It's not like a Bruce Arena type guy that everybody's chummy with. And
he's not warm, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and so I think
prickly.
We've heard it even when he was at Dortmund. I think Christian Pulisic style. So there's friction between Tuchel and the players. Does that mean that I think it can't be worked over and he can't learn from certain mistakes? I think it's possible.
He doesn't last long in jobs.
But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes, and I think it's totally possible that maybe it's been a little bit too much, but I also think it's possible that you can work around things like that if you think that the manager is the right guy for the job.
Did you say prickly? Was that
He said prickly?
Prickly, huh?
Prickly, yeah.
Wow, okay, I've never heard a manager described as that, but I guess we'll go with that.
Now you can knock that, check it off the list.
Look, to their point, right, yeah, there's some little signs, right, if you will, when you hear guys talk. Saw today that they are still backing him, the Federation.
Yeah, saw that.
Which is surprising. And if they do, hopefully they learn. Because when I watch England and I look at their team, like even in that first half, we were sat here sitting with Troy and Nige for that first half. Like that yelled out for like a Cole Palmer, someone with a little bit of creativity, even like a Phil Foden. I get he didn't have the greatest season, but like a player that had that style, and he didn't want to bring one of those guys in. So hopefully he learns from that, because I thought the first half they were okay, right? They were equal with Argentina.
Until their goal, they were equal.
Yeah, and they pressured higher up the field a little bit, right? They didn't start their line 20 yards back. And hopefully, if you're an England fan, Thomas Tuchel's learned from that if he's going to stick around, because I still think that team is too good to perform sometimes the way that they do. Their heart, determination, fight, they had all of that. And it was exciting, but they needed a little more yesterday.
Thanks for watching this video from Morning Footy. For all news and insights regarding leagues around the world like EFL, Serie A, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.